Okay, hello. Today we're doing a cat mystery. I have to redeem myself over the oopsies from last week. Um, we're just not gonna talk about it. That's me. So I can test if it's working. And I figured there's a new cat mystery out, so I love me some cats, and that's what we're gonna do today. So, let me make sure this all sounds right. I can't really hear the game anymore. Okay, I think it's working. I think it's just very, very quiet. Hold on. Do I use my controller? Yes. Okay, I think that's better. Camera sway, that's gonna make me sick, but we'll test it out. It'll be fine. Let me prop my phone up. Oh, nope. Just leave it like that. Okay, without further ado, feline forensics and the, what is it called? Meowseum mystery. Oh, it's so cute. Oh god. Not what I was expecting him to look like for the text. Another long day. Street lamps are already on and I haven't been in my office yet. I should check my computer. This reminds me of the Duck Detective. And I never actually played it, but I did watch someone play it. So I should check my computer. I'm sure I have at least a few emails waiting by now. Although, if it's the commissioner volunteering me for more debriefs, I'll have to put my paw down. Oh my god, I love it. It reminds me that I need to play and beat Paper Mario 2 on my Switch. Or I don't think that's 2 technically. 3? Whatever, the most recent Paper Mario on the Switch. Alright, let's see if this old litter box still works. I just need to log in and... Huh? It won't take my password. Something here has my whiskers twitching. This might turn into a regular investigation. I'll start tracking all my leads on this bulletin board in case I need to reference them again. What bulletin board? This bulletin board, okay. Oh. The unknown password. For some reason my computer isn't accepting my password. Did I just forget what it was? If I changed it, I certainly would have written it down on a note and put it on my desk. Well, that's not very secure. Let's see. What should I take a look at? The desk? It's possible I just wrote the password down and threw it in my desk drawers. Okay, not in the top drawer. Surely it'll be in the bottom drawer. Ah, this must be it. Wait, no, this is just a standard department business card. Following procedure requires I enter it into evidence, but unfortunately, this might be more serious than it seems. Okay. Philadelphia. Inspections performed. Can I perform an inspection? I don't think so. Okay. Let's look at the phone. I could call the department secretary for help if they hadn't already gone home for the day. Let's see. The computer. Nothing's changed. My computer is still locked. I probably shouldn't try the password again until I'm sure I know what it is. Okay, well that's that. Oh. Unfortunately, there wasn't any password reminder in my desk. Could this be more serious? Oh, I guess I could give it a second glance. That's what I did. Oh, Now I can turn it around. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. Why didn't I think to flip over that business card sooner? I don't know, because I tried that first. The extension written here belongs to the department manager. Luckily, I would classify this as an emergency. I should give them a call immediately and let them know what's going on. I forgot my password. Now that I have the department manager's extension, I can give them a call about my computer. Good evening, detective. I hope this is important because I'm in the middle of dinner with my family. Oof. Apologies, but we might have a security issue. My computer's password has inexplicably changed. I hate to break this news to you, detective, but the inexplicable is in fact quite explicable. If I do recall, this is the second time this week you've interrupted my wife's delicious home-cooked meal. Sorry. From what I could gather, you were on another milk-fueled bender. Through slurred speech, you told me you changed your own password. And? Did I give it to you? This is the part where I'm so embarrassed you tell me the password, correct? I would consider, but you also informed me that you hid it somewhere. Oh. Lovely. Somewhere that only a detective of your caliber would be able to find. So get on with it and ensure that not a single report on this matter is out of place tomorrow. And let me reiterate while you're in your right mind, do not call me again unless it is a real emergency. Sorry. I think if I had just forgot my password, this wouldn't be as humiliating. Either way, not my proudest moment, but I can make up for that, even if I am technically this crime's primary suspect. Retracing my steps, following the proper timeline, and correcting any inconsistencies in the case notes will be paramount. Oh. Okay, the detective left his office late last night and at some point after the department network was hacked. What? I see. That makes sense. The department manager did confirm that nothing was hacked. Embarrassingly, just a bit too much indulgence on my part. That being said, I've only got a rough outline from here, and they won't settle for anything less than perfection. It's time to thoroughly investigate the rest of my office and use my journal to fill in every blank necessary. That's a lot of blanks for a forgotten or missing password. Okay. How do I leave? Oh. It's possible I hid the password within the potting soil of this plant. However, until I have a compelling reason to believe that, I'm not willing to make a mess of the hardwood floor. Okay, fair. Let's see what we can find over here. One might ask themselves, why would any self-respecting feline investigator keep one of these demeaning furniture pieces in their professional office? I thought it was weird because you obviously can't fit. It was a gift from some old coworkers who thought they were being exceptionally humorous. Also, it keeps my claws properly managed, and sometimes it helps me think. I have a few of these cabinets to keep track of all my previous cases. Oh, of course it's not unlocked. Oh god, these records are pretty confidential. Wait, I don't lock these. Not since I kept misplacing the key. Oh my god. I'm certain this is significant. I might have put my password in here, or at the very least another clue. Let's see what we can find over here. Oh, wait. Okay. Bookshelf. This shelf is absolutely packed with different tomes, journals, studies, and the occasional novelization. If I had some sort of clue in one of these books, it would take me far longer to find it than it's worth. I wouldn't put it past myself, but I don't have anything to go on yet. These are usually just for keeping contracts, reference documents, and various policy paperwork. I can't imagine I would have slid a note with the password on it into this mess of a drawer. Even under a strong influence of dairy, I wouldn't have done something so reckless. When you need to dig up the truth, you've got to act like an alley cat. Empty milk carton, comically clean fish bones, used yarn ball. Okay, nothing. Nope. There's a crumpled receipt, and it looks like I've redacted most of it. Nothing about the actual purchase remains, and only the store's address is left visible. Okay. It's my old map of historic Philadelphia. But I don't remember all these thumbtacks in it. They're each holding a thin shred of paper to various addresses in the city, but no one seems more important than the other. The crumpled receipt did have an address on it, though. Oh, I don't know. I didn't look. It's not letting me, like, open it. Okay, unbeknownst to the detective, the detective changed the password to his computer and hid it inside a something. Furthermore, he hid the, I imagine it's gonna be key to the cabinet inside of something that the blah blah blah. I want to open this. Why? I'm like, what does this be? It doesn't let me do anything. Okay. It's likely I locked my password in the filing cabinet. Left a receipt. 13 North 2nd Street. Okay. I don't recall what's around here, but the slip of paper does have a phone number written on it. Looks like it's time to make another call. 215-555-2762. Okay, hopefully they're still open and they can make sense of this receipt. Good evening. Book Gator on 2nd. What can I, maybe we bought a book? What can I do for you? Of course, the local bookstore. How could I forget? Sir, did you need help with something? Hello, yes, sorry. I do, actually. This might be an odd question, but I have a receipt and I'm not sure what it was that I purchased. I've been expecting your call, detective. Sigh. Of course you are. Care to explain why? You stumbled in, disgruntled after an argument with this devious plan. Devious plant? I didn't ask questions, but you warned me this call was likely. Oh dear. Now about that book. Please tell me it's not something terribly inappropriate. Not quite, no. The book's title is On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. Okay, thank you. That'll be all. Sure you don't need anything else, detective? No, really, it's okay. Thank you. Ramen sounds so good right now, though. As if I wasn't embarrassed enough as it is. Why would that be embarrassing? Oh, does he think we're like a thief? I don't... Okay. So... yeah. Okay. More novels than I thought, but hey, these are the classics. Okay, now why would I purchase this book specifically? Is there something over here to investigate? I don't know. Grab the book. Oh, he did. Don't open. Yay! Of course, I knew there was something else here. I bought a hollow trick book. No wonder the bookstore clerk was holding back a laugh. With my cabinet key hidden inside, no less. I think we're nearing the end of this case. Good thing the trains will still be running for a little longer. Okay, cool. I was sure the plant had something to do with it, but... I've got the key, so let's get this locked cabinet opened up and see what we find. There's a note right on top. A great change of pace. Or maybe I was just getting lazy. There doesn't seem to be any cipher or code either. This just looks like a normal password. I should try it and then make sure all my notes are in order. I wouldn't want to attract any more ire from the department manager than I already have. Okay. He hid the key to the... Well, okay. I hid it inside a cab. Maybe I'm not done yet. Oh. After the detective changed his computer's login information. Having developed a devious plan to overcome his own expertise, the detective went to a hollow blah, 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 evidence password reminder. I see, that makes sense. Of course, the reason for this entire mystery locked up tight in a lone filing cabinet. Luckily, I haven't forgotten about it twice, at least. Oh, at least not yet. Oops. There we go. I hid it inside a cabinet. A what? Minutes to the detective. The detective changed password to his computer and hid it inside it. What do you mean? A minutes to the commissioner? Manager? Red herring all along? Oh, it works. Okay. The department manager will have my fur if I don't get the rest of these case notes in order before I go home. Let's see. What should I take a look at? Oh. Okay, let me do this part. He hid the key inside... The key... Oh. The key to the cabinet inside a book. Dang it. That the detective recently purchased. Okay. So what is the problem here? The detective changed the password to his computer and locked it inside a cabinet? Okay. Aha! I knew I was onto something. While a fantastic treat, a night out at the milk bar might cause me more trouble than it's worth. Oh, is the phone ringing? Could it be the manager already? Hello, Feline Forensics Private Detective. I'm glad to hear you're burning the midnight oil. Commissioner? To what do I owe the pleasure? Business, not pleasure. There's been an incident. Private property. They asked for you. I'm sending a cruiser. The officer will fill you in on the way. The case seems pretty involved, but it's still within my jurisdiction. You will go by the book, Detective. I'm sure you're aware that if you don't, your license will be on the line. Again, oh. Click. What a ray of sunshine the commissioner is these days. Oh god, that scared me. It's gonna be an even later night than I thought. Well, at least we don't have any emails. Duck detective officer? Is that a duck? Goose? I don't know. Evening, officer. What are we looking at this time? Oh, detective, no need to be so formal. Although, we are headed to a pretty fancy museum, so maybe I spoke too soon. I'm not honking. The one on the east side of town? What happened? Sounds like an attempted heist gone sideways. Nobody was able to flee the scene, but an important exhibit has gone missing. Not sure if it was one of the thieves, another visitor, or a staff member, but they said somebody might have been shot in the process. Jesus. Oh dear, let's hope things have been kept under control since. They made it seem like the scenario was contained, but you'll have to make that call yourself. I don't know much more than that, but we'll be there soon. And here we are. Told you it wouldn't take that long. Always a pleasure. Wish me luck. I have a feeling this is going to be a long night. Good luck, detective. I'm sure everything will go just fine. And I know you like to work alone, but if you need— well, someone was shot. I feel like the cops should be here. But if you need some help from the department, just give us a call on that payphone over there. We'll see if that's necessary. For now, it's time to go to work. The Kreinberg Museum. The plaque reads, Hunk, the Herald Angel. A wonderful and timeless depiction of Mother Goose's Agents of Peace. Okay, so it was a goose. That said, the biblically accurate sculptures are more compelling. It's the sign for the museum with its namesake, Kreinberg, and the official logo illuminated by a few small spotlights. No one would have suspected a heist turned murder. Well, I guess it could have been a murder turned heist. These are the kinds of questions I'll need to answer with my expert feline sleuthing skill. Alright. Ah, detective, thank goodness you finally arrived. I'm the curator of this museum and the one that called the police. Thank you for coming on such short notice. For crime, there's no such thing as short notice, and a detective must always be prepared to put a stop to it. Yes, well, please work with the utmost efficiency. A catastrophe cat of this scale could be a disaster. If word got out that our most precious gemstone was stolen, who knows what would happen. Not only would the museum's reputation be forever marred, we could be the target of even more horrid criminals. You're understandably concerned, but I assure you I'll sort this out. This is far from my first case. Although, if my debrief is accurate, there was also an unfortunate murder in the process. Is that right? Oh yes, that punk. Okay, I just hate to even think about it. I suppose you should take care of that as well. Second place, though. But in my opinion, the sooner we get the innocent people home, the better. Investigation leads to sloppy work, so I can't promise this will be quick or easy. Regardless, I trust you'll do your best, and if you could keep me posted on your progress, it would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty. I have several things to discuss, if we could. Okay, personal questions. Who are you again? As I said before, I'm the purveyor of this prestigious museum. Past that, there isn't much more to disclose. Do you have any associations outside your work here? Family, perhaps? Is this vital to solving our case, detective? Otherwise, I'd request that you inquire no further. It certainly could be, depending on how it continues to unfold. Fine, I do have a family, and I'm currently separated from them over personal matters. Okay. And I can assure you they have nothing to do with the stolen gemstone or the murder. Unless you'd like to interrogate them unnecessarily as well. Big mad. Alright, moving on. What do you do? I manage the museum staff, exhibitions, publicity, funding, and well, just about everything. Wouldn't it be easier to delegate some of that work? Well, you see, we simply don't have the extra revenue to accommodate that. While incredibly valuable to the human condition, a museum of this caliber is hardly ever profitable. Okay, sorry. I simply don't enjoy the idea that one would look at what we do here and assume it's all that easy. It requires hard work and sacrifice, detective. It's not a sore subject, it's a harsh reality. Why am I apologizing? Okay, the museum. Let me provide a brief overview of the layout so you know what you're dealing with. Currently, we're standing in the museum's foyer, which has the only exterior doorway. In the east wing, we have the sculpture gallery, featuring contemporary works. On the west side is where we display works of natural history with geological and pre-civilization origins. The central connecting exhibit is the courtyard just to the north of us now. Further north, we have antiquities. Oh my god, this place is huge. Hosts to several artifacts and art pieces spanning global cultures and eras. On the second floor, there's only one unique gallery, fine art, typically canvas. Of course, as you investigate, you'll notice there are balconies that look down into a few of the first floor exhibits as well. Oh, there's a brochure map. Brochure map. Alright, thanks. Oh, okay. Today's events. Before. Yes. What were you doing? During operating hours, I don't do much except greet visitors, and today was no exception. On days when we're particularly busy, I may mingle and let the guard stand station, but that wasn't the case today. Up until the argument began upstairs, nothing seemed no one was going to tell me about this argument. The guard and I were here having an idle chat. Unfortunate that it couldn't stay that way. Alright, a few more questions. During. Certainly. What happened? The guard and I heard an argument beginning upstairs, but it wasn't an immediate concern to me. I didn't want him to make a scene, but it continued to heat up on its own. Then we heard the gunshot moments later. Even with the accompanied sound of broken glass, my instinct was to make sure the guide was safe. I thought she was in the sculpture gallery, but the guard found her in antiquities stunned. He called for me and I ran right over. And it was true. She was frozen solid, startled by the cacophonous noise. The guard was concerned, of course, but took off toward the blaring alarm. Despite the chaos of it all, I maintained my focus on her. Eventually, I got through. And do you know what the first thing she said to me, detective? Oh, do you know the first thing she said to me? Call the police. Immediately looking out for the museum. So selfless, to a fault. I went back to the foyer to do just that, but the tourists and the artists were there begging that I release the lockdown. I didn't know who was responsible for this mess, so I brushed them off without much opposition and made the call. Okay, I think that's it for the curator. Hold it right there. Did you pay admission when you came in? I'm a detective. Gotcha good, didn't I? Little security joke is all. Always good to meet another agent of Lady Justice, detective. What can I do for you? I'm hoping you can assist my investigation. Oh, absolutely. Anything you need at the drop of a hat. Okay, just by answering a few questions for now. I need to be clear that even as museum guard, you aren't exonerated here. Of course, I wouldn't have it any other way. Not only am I loyal to the law, I'm loyal to this museum, and the wrongs against it must be righted. Actually, hold on. Okay. 10-4, good buddy. Who are you? Not much to brag about in that department, detective. Well, what do you do in your free time? I like to keep up with various TV shows and movies, but don't we all? That's not very interesting. I read a whole bunch too. Talk about boring. That's like my whole life, so that's kind of offensive. Laughs heartily. I don't think that's boring. Honestly, I wish I had the time for more of that kind of thing. I used to say the same thing, believe it or not, but if you don't make time to enjoy things, there won't be much of you left. Just a couple whiskers and a suit. I mean, uh, let's stay on topic. Do you have any family, friends? Couple buddies from back in the day, but started to feel like we were worlds apart, you know? A wife at home, but no kids. She has some great friends, longtime friends, and they call me friend. I'm alright with that. I understand. Alright. What do you do? I keep the peace within these marble walls. A much more manageable scale than I'm sure you deal with, detective. On the regular, sure, but for tonight, we have that in common. As far as my day-to-day is concerned, we don't really get much commotion around here. Was there a time when disturbances were more typical? No, I guess not, but we had more people around overall, you see. Hey, if all else fails, maybe this whole debacle will give the museum some attention again. That'd really be something, huh? I suppose anything's possible. Why don't we discuss something else? Okay. What did you do before? I worked as a policeman for a while, but not as long as expected at the time. You certainly don't look like you've reached retirement age. Young for retirement, sure, but not that young. Most folks stay in the field for a long time. Wasn't for me, though. I grew up with police dramas and was big enough to deal with bullies, but the concept of bullies is a bit more difficult when you're an adult. Nail on the head, detective. Don't get me wrong, there were times when it was very clear. Just not always. Even instances that were clear in the beginning became murky down the road. Or, in retrospect, eventually parting ways with the force seemed like the best decision. I came to that conclusion sometime later. By that you mean it wasn't entirely your choice. Highly encouraged choice, perhaps. Okay. A tale that isn't too uncommon, I think. Alright. As per usual, I was hanging around the foyer, having a little chat with the curator. When things are especially slow, I might take a walk around the exhibits or get some fresh air, but I was feeling a little more lazy today. Oh boy, that doesn't sound too good, does it? I don't want you thinking I neglected my duties. I'm so not used to reading this much. Thing is, nothing seemed weird. It was a totally normal morning, afternoon, and evening. I understand. So none of the guests acted strangely? We all get walks of life, and I do my best not to judge one way or another. So no, not much. And all things considered, this feels like poor circumstance to me, detective. Interesting. Why don't we discuss some more then? Oh dear, where do I begin? The curator and I heard an argument upstairs. I was ready to go and defuse the situation, but the curator was hoping it would solve itself. I don't quite understand it, but in my experience, artists tend to hold strong opinions, so I trusted the curator's judgment and call for a moment. But I made my way into the courtyard when it heated up. The fight was upstairs, though, so I just had to keep moving through. A few moments later, a gunshot shattered glass soon after, and I didn't skip a beat. Some habits die hard, I guess. Well, I got to Antiquities and found the guide stopped in her tracks. Maybe I should have kept moving, but I had to make sure she was okay. It's admirable at the very least. I'm sure she appreciated it. You're probably right, but I wasn't actually much help. Nothing I could say had her come to. I called for the curator since there was still the matter of whatever went down in natural history. I got there at about the same time as the podcaster. Oh my god. But she knew just as much as I did, and that wasn't much. There's so many people. The display case was already destroyed, so to save the diamond or the victim, I was too slow again. If there was anything left to do, it was call the police. Thankfully, the curator was already on the line and things had mostly calmed down by then. I appreciate the thorough recollection. Let's move on to something else. I think that's it for him. Oh. Additional details. About the alarm. Oh yeah. Well, you see, the amazing thing is that it's real smart. It can tell who's who and do what it's got to do real accurate, too. Certainly there's some downside to it. Nail on the head, detective. When it was installed, they told us it was a little slow. It doesn't make mistakes, because for a computer, it takes its time. Although for a person like you or me, that's still pretty dang fast. It just has to, I don't know, double check, I guess. It has a way of being selective, only locking down what's necessary, and trying to minimize panic in a chaotic situation. Come to think of it, the actual sound of the alarm was supposed to sound like one of the more severe stages of lockdown. The old guy who used to work on it could tell you more, but we've never seen it in action before today. Maybe try asking the curator. Okay, now I think that's it. I guess there's nothing else. Oops, oops. I'm not gonna look at all this stuff. Okay. Oh god, there's so much. Pause for alarm. While discussing the stolen jewel with the guard, he mentioned a state-of-the-art security system. While circumstantially poor, he was glad to know that it actually worked. The curator's primary and only concern was identifying the culprit behind the attempted heist of the incredibly valuable diamond from the museum's natural history exhibit. Alongside the attempted heist, there was an apparent murder that took place. It didn't seem like the curator's primary concern, but it obviously can't be ignored. Alright. Oops. So let's go to natural history, which I think is here. Oh no, this is courtyard exhibit. Is that blood? Huh. Oh god, these are all the people. Okay. The artist, the critic, the curator, the guard, the guide, the old-timer, the podcaster, the punk, which I think is dead, the student, and the tourist. This is clearly important to our case, so what should I investigate? Alright, the place card. The plaque reads, miniature Moai statue circa 1300. Another victim in this odd culmination of crimes, unfortunately. Oh, so it must have fallen. The blood trail leads here and over the edge of the balcony. It's dashed across the exhibit podium as well. The podium looks like it's been pushed askew as well, and the art piece is missing. Stanchions are unlatched, presumably by force, considering the perilous angle. The victim is visible. Lying on the floor below, they were likely disoriented and stumbled backwards to their demise. I thought someone got shot, though. I guess they could have gotten shot wherever the blood trail starts, and then they made their way over here and fell. Or were pushed, I don't know. Oh, nice! The plaque reads, Taurus figurine discovered in Northern Europe and Asia. Am I blushing? I feel like I'm blushing. Okay. Another shocking aspect to the case unfolding in front of us. This is where the blood trail begins, considering the impact on the wall. If this is where the two guests fought, the impact is a likely result, and with enough force that would explain the crooked painting. Whatever happened, it's clear the conflict continued onward, but I'll have to keep investigating to learn more. Is it a remote? The plaque reads, would you like to take control of your past or change the channel of your future? Change the future. Oh, it just shuffles screens. Okay. Whoa, who's that? Old timer. Yes, hello. Yeah, I know who you are. Fantastic. Then let's get started. Well, I'm waiting on you. Get started. Then I'll finally get to go home. Standing on these floors is killer for an old timer like me. There's a bench just over there if you— I don't need a seat. You think I need some handout from you? Oh my god. Do you know who I am? I didn't mean to offend. Look, detective, get to the interrogation or do whatever you have to do so I can get out of here. Alright. Who are you? You really have to ask, huh? Tells me everything I need to know about you, detective. Well, in this case, I am the one who needs to know, so why don't you just answer the question anyway? I'm a retiree of the art world from back when folks respected the craft. I sought success beyond my wildest dreams. I was in galleries, exhibitions, auctions for rates higher than you or your kittens would see in an entire lifetime. Point is, I was at the top and I wasn't making way for nobody. You had to be cutthroat back then. Don't even get me started on all this crowdfunding. Ugh. Sir, I don't think... For what reason did you step down from such a high pedestal? Couldn't keep up. Is that what you want to hear? My hands started going first, then, well, I quit while I was ahead. I see. Alright. What do you do? What kind of question is that? Are you one of them half-rate gumshoes, detective? That's an offense. Oh, I think they made offensive. In my advanced age, I don't do much of anything. With my advanced wealth, I don't have to. That's what it means to be retired. Not that you would know. I might do some consulting from time to time, or attend an event, but all that chasing tail, that's for the young pups. After everything I've given to the art world, I keep on giving. What you think about that? Good for you. You wouldn't get it, so maybe start asking some questions with answers you could actually use. He is... Yikes. Alright. What about it? Despite a few amateur missteps, it's a respectable institution. And what would you consider a misstep? Don't get me started on how much modern garbage they have on display these days. I understand art can't be entirely without business. There are lines you just don't cross. And betraying the greats by hanging their most prestigious pieces next to these finger painters? That's across the line. Did you ever have any of your pieces on display here in the museum? That's a leading question, detective. Is that leading? If you must know, even at my peak, no, the curator refused to exhibit any of my works. I had plenty of other exhibitions, and we've always been on good terms. I don't hold it against them. So don't leave this conversation thinking I've got some sort of vendetta. That would be a ridiculous notion, wouldn't it? Okay, that's it. Today's events. What were you doing? Am I outspoken, detective? Are you answering my question with a question? The answer is no. I am resolute, firm in my opinions because I know they're correct. I still have yet to see how this answer... There I was, with the critic. We were looking over the various pieces in the sculpture gallery. The critic wanted to discuss with the guide, so I let them be. Made my way upstairs into fine art. That's when I saw him. All these disgraceful misuses of canvas, and the punk that followed soon after looking for a fight. He must have seen me wrinkle my nose at some painting, and, well, he didn't know what tree he is barking at. An old wizened willow, detective, one that weeps for the way things used to be. Intriguing, to say the least. I believe I have some more questions, then. Of course, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was like an hour ago. Because it was today! Ha, I gotcha, didn't I, detective? In fact, it was about an hour ago. How could I forget that? I'm old, but I ain't that old. That punk wanted to yank my tail, but when I barked back, he must have got scared. Pulled a gun on me! Oh my god. Always knew I had some bite left, and we got into a real scuffle. Took us out onto the courtyard balcony. He threw me into a wall. I swung back at him. He tried to take me out, but his aim was bad. Missed by a mile. Must have been new to it too. The kickback gave me a chance to disarm him, and then he ran off. The critic came to check on me soon after. I told him I was fine. Unscathed, in fact. Then the alarm went off, but I didn't have anything to do with that. Okay, so you have the gun now? Is this the critic? Yeah. I say, what matter of drab fashion is approaching me? Don't judge my outfit, okay? I'm the detective sent to investigate this series of unfortunate events. Heavens, you should speak to your department about acquiring better uniforms. This is not a uniform. It's just one of my suits. Are you to imply that these are your actual clothes that you purchased with money? Willingly? I would appreciate if we could get to the questioning now. Oh, relax. I'm a bit of a critic, but I'll do my best not to get in your way. I'll likely take a few jabs at you, though. How could I not? With those shoulder pads. He's really upset about the outfit. Okay, let's just get started. Usually I charge for this sort of service. Who are you? I'm a collector, a connoisseur. Some would call me a cultural innovator. But that title is just far too garish, even if it is entirely true. And this is what brought you to the museum today? There are wonderful pieces here that I would love to call my own, but no, I'm not making any purchases. My accountant wouldn't like that very much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but exhibits at a museum aren't usually for sale. Spoken like a true member of the middle class. Everything is for sale when you have enough money. Am I to assume this applies to you? I've written for the most prestigious organizations. These scales have rubbed against the best of them. You should consider yourself blessed I'm not more offended that you would even ask who I am. Then why don't I ask a different question? Alright, do you have a family? A traditional family? No, but I have someone close to me if that's what you mean. Would you not consider them family? I would. But that partnership was founded in a different time, and unfortunately, there are still many similarities between now and then. Besides, when you've become larger than yourself and people believe you are only how they sculpted you, there's a lot to lose if you betray their perception. If I'm to interpret your meaning, isn't the artistic industry quite progressive? For an artist at his easel, yes. For a writer at her typewriter, yes. For a musician with their instrument, yes. But for any of them with a need to live, to eat, to succeed, they must be ruled by money. And the people with money, money far above even my station, they do not understand the meaning of progress. So no, I suppose I don't have much family. Most of us can't afford to. Okay. Why did you decide to visit the museum today? The curator practically begged me to come and write about it in one of my columns. I visited before many years ago. The article I wrote back then was an unbelievable success. Although, considering the terrible fate before us, I don't know that anything I write will speak highly enough. You mean the murder termed museum heist? Is that it? No, I'm talking about irrelevancy. And worse yet, the curator has resorted to committing the cardinal sin. The display of counterfeit art is just painful. What do you mean? That would be quite the accusation. They're duplicates, simple as that. How else could one acquire such a diverse catalog? In fact, I've already noticed two. And well, when there's two, there must be a third. That's just proper writing, detective. Alright, what were you doing? As you do in a museum, I was taking my jolly good time looking over the many exhibits alongside the old-timer. When we made our way into the sculpture gallery, I decided to strike up a conversation with the guide. Of course, I can't resist an expert discussion. The old-timer has far less patience for that sort of gallivanting, so he took off upstairs. Perhaps I shouldn't have let him go off on his own. I don't know what it was that they argued about, but it must have struck a nerve. So that was the argument. I think that's when our evening started to go south. Is that so? There isn't much for me to say on the topic, but I suppose it began with the old-timer's argument upstairs. It sounded like he was in the fine art gallery. It started moving that way, but when I was just about there, I heard a blunt slam. I had hoped that the argument didn't turn violent, but I was quickly losing faith in that theory. Before I knew it, there was that wretched bang. A gunshot, the glass shattering not long after. So the gunshot in the hall, then whoever is bleeding, the punk I think, made their way to the glass and fell. I was concerned for the well-being of the old-timer, so I continued outward towards the balcony after him. By then, the brawl had concluded. The old-timer was clearly worn out, he was breathing heavily, and had a couple scratches, but he seemed okay. I shoveled him back into the fine art gallery and tried to ignore the rest of the cacophony below. It calmed down soon after, and now you're here. Oh, I think... About the old-timer. I've taken down both of your testimonies, but there's a specific detail here that doesn't line up. The old-timer claimed he came away from the brawl completely unscathed, but that's not accurate to your remarks. Alright, this might be the easiest explanation you received today, Detective. Are you familiar with fragile masculinity? We've known each other for a long, long time, and when I say he's improved, I mean it. But there are things that still get under his fur. Whether this helps or hinders your perception of his motives, I doubt he even second-guessed a lie like that. You speak as if you know him quite well. Intimately, some would say. Huh. Okay. Alright. It's no surprise that the old-timer would want to keep up his manly image. But as we can tell from what the critic told us, even the old-timer was a little shaken following his bout with the punk. Alright. Holy. Alright, what's in here? Artist. Greetings. Hello, I'm the detective tending to this case. I'm aware of this. You're from Feline Forensics. Yeah. Good, you're familiar. How did you know about me? Was it the tie? I tried to go something more neutral, professional, insightful even. Maybe it's my suit. The shoulders are very padded. Is it the suit? Too private eye? It was not the tie, detective. So, it was the suit. It was also not the suit. I'm just aware of you. Generally speaking. Good marketing, perhaps. And besides, I simply prefer to be aware. An artist must observe the world. Okay. I regret to inform you, Detective. Who I am is not important. I am unimportant. Oh god. In the grand schemes of things, as it pertains to the situation around us, those details would not bring you closer to case closed. Humor me then. Ooh. I'm a washed-up failure of a creative amphibian. As soon as I had hands, my parents couldn't keep enough paper in the house. I'd hoard every marker and paint I could find. Clay was my best friend. My imagination was insatiable, so I didn't have time for anyone or anything else. That doesn't sound like a failure to me. Insatiable may beget experience, but it does not equate to talent. Is that a sufficient answer, Detective? Yeah, so you love art, but you suck at it. What do you do? Since my art career became an artifact of the past, I found myself in several professions. Nowadays, I work under a contract agency. They have me doing temporary work placements. Many placements are undesirable, unfortunately, but it pays the bills, and I can keep a fair bit of time to myself. Do you still create art in that time? Yes. I don't believe I could ever truly give it up, but inspiration strikes less frequently. That's why I've decided to come to the museum today. Did you find something inspiring? I believe I have, but time will tell. The paint must dry, as they say. They do say that, don't they? On to the next question. I'm sure you're aware, but why are you so covered in it? The paint. This is my favorite coat. Are you suggesting that just because I got some paint on it, that suddenly means it can no longer be a coat? It was a bit cold today. I needed to wear a coat. I'm not warm-blooded, Detective. Do you want me to be cold? Oh my god, Jill. I didn't say that. Calm down. Besides, it makes the coat more unique. No one in the whole world has this coat but me. I could see the allure in something like that. Would you say you strive to stand out? I think most people do, myself included, and yet I frequently feel invisible. It's as if people just don't see me, even if I'm standing right there. It makes one feel quite lonely, to say the least. Forgotten. My apologies. I believe I've strayed from your inquiry. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, what were you doing? I hate to break it to you, but my prior behavior has little impact to the case. I was just wandering around the various exhibits, observing. Specifically, I was counting the bones of those hanging skeletons from the Natural History exhibit's balcony. Okay. Then again, I did spend some time on the courtyard balcony as well, mesmerized by the pendulum's colorful sway. Considering my proximity to the fine art gallery, I overheard the argument as it began, and I departed the upper floor. I've got that all written down now, so thank you. What happened? Certainly. I'll begin with the argument. I was nearby and didn't want to get involved. By the time I made it to the lower courtyard, I heard the gunshot. Naturally, I attempted to make my way out of the museum entirely, but the guard came hastily through the room and bumped into me. I eventually got through and made my way to the foyer. Unfortunately, the door was already locked down. I imagine it was a result of the alarm being tripped. The museum has a sophisticated security system, it seems. And there wasn't anyone else around? Initially, no. When the tourist arrived from behind me, I told him we were stuck. Even when the curator came back, they refused to open the door. The tourists passionately opposed their decision, but eventually stood down. We waited in our respective exhibits until you arrived. Okay. Wait, was there something else for today's events? Oh, okay, about the guard. When I collected his witness testimony, yeah, he didn't say anything about bumping into you. That doesn't surprise me, Detective. Don't you remember what I said before? Even with all this paint, people just don't see me. Aww. You did say that. Okay. If you have any doubts about my honesty in the situation, I can present my perspective in greater detail. No, I think it's fine. Okay. There's so many places to go. Should I go talk to the guard before I decide that was true? That'd be a weird thing to lie about it, though. The guide. Greetings, Detective. Boy, am I glad you're here. Glad to be here, although not necessarily under these circumstances. Happy to help, nonetheless. I thought it said happy to help. God. Unfortunately, I don't think I am going to be much help. I am... Hold on. Okay. I am a bit of an anxious rabbit, you see. That's okay. We can work through it slowly with whatever information we have. That's quite a relief. I know a lot about being a guide, but I'm afraid I just don't hold up under pressure. It is what it is, right? Alright, I'll need to ask a lot of questions. I can't leave any stone unturned, but let me know if it becomes too much. This sounds like a great plan, Detective. Who are you? Gosh, I don't tend to talk about myself that much. After a few years, I'm still the museum's newest employee, but I've been into art history for a long time. Interesting. And how do you spend your free time? Oh, nothing super exciting. I have a sweet tooth, so I bake a bunch. Enjoy a good period drama. I read when I can. Considering your line of work, you never pursued the arts? Gosh, no. I mean, did I try watercolor once or twice? Yeah, but it was bad. Bad. Don't get me started on the charcoals and oil pastels I have sitting in my closet. A bit of an impulse. Obviously, I still study art a lot, but no, never really felt like making much. It's definitely not for everyone, including myself. Okay. Nope. What do you do? I'm the current leader of education and guest relations here at the museum. If visitors have questions or they want a tour, I'm their bunny. Aside from that, I'm also the youngest member of the team, so I try to manage our marketing and outreach. The curator and the guard don't really understand social media, you know? Nowadays, though, that's my least favorite part of the job. The internet can be a cruel place. I don't envy you in the least. Folks make fair points, like about our exhibits, but they don't really understand how any of it works. They don't like that we keep art from cultures that aren't ours, and I don't disagree with them. But lots of people might never be exposed to those other cultures if we didn't. I don't know. It's complicated. Most of the world is these days. What did you do before? Just the most soul-draining corporate office work. I went to school for business, whatever that means. In retrospect, it felt like a bit of a scam. It still is. It's not like I was passionate about any of it, but it was safe, or so they said. Are you passionate about what you do now? Absolutely. I wouldn't change a thing. At least no major thing, right? Sure, there are bigger museums and better pay, but I used to think about that kind of thing way too much. I like the people here. I trust them, and they appreciate me. I get to inspire people's passions. Okay. Today, what were you doing? Before everything started to unravel, I was going about a normal day's business. More specifically, I was answering questions and offering tours to the various guests, but with varying success. That's not totally weird or anything, but the critic was the first to really engage at all. He had some questions about a sculpture, but then he started questioning my qualifications. Any particular reason for the change in topic? Maybe it was a distraction. We could overhear the old-timers shouting upstairs, but eventually he went upstairs to go check on him anyways. I figured it would diffuse itself and they'd come back down, so I went into antiquities, hoping I could escort them out for causing trouble. That didn't go as planned, unfortunately. You can see that. Alright, what happened next? Honestly, it all felt very sudden. I don't even really remember what happened. After everything had sort of resolved, or calmed down, the curator said someone had shot a gun in the museum. Yeah, you didn't hear it? The noise. I think that's what sent me into shock. The next thing I remember was the curator's voice breaking through this haze. They were trying to get me to do my breathing exercises, and when I was responsive enough, they left to call the police. But I keep thinking that if the curator hadn't prioritized me, maybe the diamond wouldn't have been stolen. Alright, yeah, don't feel guilty. A rock that, as far as we know, is still around here somewhere, and I'll find it. Alright, let's ask about the critic. You said they were asking you some personal questions, but he described it as only a debate between experts. Well, I did say questions, but there were more challenges. Did it feel like perhaps he had an ulterior motive? You mentioned the possibility it could have been a distraction. I don't think he really had a goal. He was just being a curmudgeonly old man. That sounds rude, but true. And that isn't anything new, so I guess I didn't think too much of it. Not until, well, you know the rest by now. Okay. Who do I think you are? The tourist? The student? Hello? Greetings. Oh my god, how terrifying was it be? You're here like studying art and all of a sudden a murder and a robbery has been committed. I wonder if they freaked out when all the TVs changed channel when I clicked on the remote. Alright. Don't let me get in your way. I'm actually here for you. What? I'm innocent, I swear. I meant I'm here to talk to you. Some simple questions, really. There's no need to be so nervous. Unless you have a reason to be nervous. I'm innocent. I swear. Oh no, I was just joking, dude. Chill. I've been told I'm very dry, so please accept my apologies. Alright, questions. I hate talking about myself. You really shouldn't. Who are you? Oh, you don't care about that, detective. I'm just a little mouse. Nothing special. And like I said, I'm also super innocent. I'm sure you are. So you wouldn't mind if I searched your backpack, for instance. Why would you need to do that? I haven't stolen anything and put it in my backpack if that's what you think. I was just kidding again. Why did you come to the museum today? I came here for a date. Oh, a date! And they stood him up. That's so sad. Poor guy. Don't you know how hard it is these days? The apps and the mixers and the socializing and the being attractive? Not to mention the tests texting and the flirting and the leaving the house. Oh, don't get me started on having to go outside. I feel that. It's dreadful, detective. It's terrible. The only silver lining is that you can find places like this that are free to get stood up. Imagine having to pay for that type of embarrassment. It makes me really hungry, actually. Actually, wait. Never mind. My apologies. Oh. I thought that was the mouse. As in, what do you do for work? How do you make a living? I don't really make a living. I'm kind of unmaking a living, getting further and further in debt. Couldn't you tell from my distinct lack of sleep? I'm a student. Oh, I see. What are you studying? Game design. Hey, for the creativity of it, you know? And obviously the money. There's no denying that the tech industry is booming. It sure is. It's just gonna keep growing and growing. Line go up. Couldn't ask for more fantastic working conditions, too. It's incredibly accessible, historically inclusive, diversity off the charts. I don't know about that, though. Stability? Look no further. Problematic behavior and business practice? Not here. Literally nothing to complain about. Not a thing at all. Someone that works in tech? That'd be nice. But I did just get a promotion, so I should shut my mouth. Alright, today's events. What were you doing? How far back should I go? I came in a few hours ago and started going through a few exhibits. You can skip ahead. Right. Well, I got to the natural history exhibit after a bit and started admiring all of the artwork there. I could overhear what sounded kind of like an argument. I didn't give it much thought, minding my own business, but it started to get more intense. It didn't take long to realize it had escalated further than it should have. Everything spun out of control from there. I see. We should go over those details as well. Oh, my cat is sleeping. She's so cute. Okay, detective, if you say so. I couldn't tell what it was about, but I heard the argument upstairs was beginning to get physical. Bad things just kind of happen randomly nowadays, and better not to take any chances, you know? I got to the foyer, but that's when my suspicions were solidified. The sound of a gunshot. I pounced toward the door, and as I reached for the handle, the place went into total lockdown. I was scared, detective. I felt cornered, trapped, and did the only thing I could think of. I retreated into the sculpture gallery to hide until things calmed down. I almost knocked over one of the sculptures in my haste. Thankfully, it wasn't too long until everything seemed under control again. As in control as it could be, I suppose. Alright, I think that's it for him. Okay, I want to meet everybody first. So we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, just 3 people left. Okay, that takes us to fine art. Antiquities? This is the... tourist. Howdy doody, Detective Rooney. Duty. Please, call me detective. I'm the investigator on this case. How are you holding up with all the commotion? Just tippy-topper, Investicopper. A little worried I'm getting behind on my itinerary, but I'll survive. An itinerary? Are you on vacation? You ding-dang bet I am. I need a drink. I'll be right back. Not that kind of drink. I need some water. But a real drink would be nice. I'll be right back. Okay, I got both. Let me open this. A nice long trip like I always wanted to, just wasn't in the dealer's deck until recent. Call me a regular tourist because I know you gotta plan every stop. You know what they be saying, detective? Failing to plan is like planning to have a good time getting lost. Actually, right now, before I forget, I want to play Outbound. I did the demo on it, but it came out. I want to actually play it. So... came out a couple weeks ago. Okay. It's mine. Okay. Sorry. Alright, let's get back to the topic at hand. Who are you? I've gone by a lot of names, detective, but what you see is what you get. Just an old free spirit flying through the back half of life. That sounds quite nice, actually. Are you flying with any family? Oh, you really are good at this, huh? You always know what to ask. Of course I've got family. A little brother and his sty of piglets. Dear me, does their mother have her hooves full at them? She's practically a sister to me, too. You said you're traveling. Is it difficult to be away from them? It stings the soul, that's for sure. But I try to send a postcard every couple days. I've collected far too many souvenirs for him. When our pop would go out on business trips, he'd always bring back little baubles with him. So you know I gotta keep the tradition alive. I'm sure the kids love that too. What do you do? Nowadays, not much. I'll do some odd jobs when I get back from this big old vacation, but past that, no more grind for me. That's a fortunate position to find yourself in. How'd you manage that? That's a tough one, cat detective. Long story short, my pops was into some particular business, at least until he died. I was a teenager then, and my brother was even younger, so fending for ourselves wasn't much an option. Luckily, Pop's work buddies took us in. When I got a bit older, I took over the operation he left behind. Mafia? Decade later, we landed a pretty profitable contract, and the rest is history. Did your brother follow along as well? Muddy heavens, no. In fact, that's what kept my eye on the truffle. I didn't want him to get involved. Okay, my statement is getting a bit more plausible. That's admirable. Okay, let's talk something else. We're not gonna, ask about that? That's suspicious. What were you doing? Like, maybe he's here to steal. Maybe that's his job. Like, he had to steal a thing. Let me tell you, much of the same I'm doing right now. Standing on my own two hooves, gazing at all these colors. At least until the podcaster came on through and started asking about my camera. They called it such an old school vibe. Laughs deeply. What about it was she interested in? I don't know, but she was mighty excited. I let her look it over because I didn't see much harm in that. I took my eyes off it when the argument upstairs started becoming an issue, but she didn't seem shady or nothing. That's when things really started to kick off. Alright, let's discuss further. Don't hold back. What happened? A whole lot, if you ask me. Well, I guess you are asking me, aren't you? But much of it I wasn't privy to. Those two upstairs were in a bit of a brawl, and one of them shot a gun. Instinctually, I stepped in front of the podcaster, but luckily I don't think anyone really got hit. That was when we heard some glass smash in the other room and the museum's alarm start blaring. Didn't think this sort of thing could so rile me up, but in that moment, I must have been sweating something fierce, like something splashed my back with a pail of water. I tried to tell the gal to save her own fur, but I don't know, maybe she was more invested than she let on, and I wasn't going to carry her out. When I got to the foyer, the artist really started arguing with the curator about letting us out. I guess the alarm put everything on total lockdown. And I don't blame a single feather on them. They didn't know what was what. They just told us to stand by and wait for the police. Not my favorite gang to deal with, but I sat tight, and that's about all she wrote. Oh, let's go back to personal. About this business, yes. Now that's the story, and I bet you don't want me to spare even the tiniest detail. Don't be afraid to abridge slightly if necessary. I'm just yanking your tail. Thing is, there's not much to say. I was a poor piglet told to pick himself up by his bootstraps, and I didn't even wear boots. All told, I worked hard, but it was a couple lucky decisions and a better company. Right places and left times, you know? I'm nothing if not a storyteller, and a good one at that, but I wouldn't want to put you in a catnap with the details. Yeah, just answer me. How dumb do you think I am? Look, Whiskers, simply put, some of these crowds weren't the most savory, but folks with deep pockets. Pops put us into some circumstances that went off and oinked. It forced me into decisions I don't like having made. All that's important to know now is, well, I got more curls in my tail these days. Wouldn't make those choices again if I had to. I won't press the issue now, but I hope you understand that if I have a reason to suspect its relevance, I won't have much of a choice. Well, I get it. Don't sound so stern, Detective. If you think I'm running from something, we're into another. Or into another. Rest assured, the worst of it already comes with me everywhere. Okay? About your camera. Oh, this old thing? It's been my trusty companion for ages. Ran through some bumps and bruises, but nothing a good old buff can't fix. Had a hearty crash today, didn't we, buddy? You didn't mention that in your testimony. What happened? Didn't I? I told you, I let the podcaster look it over, right? When everything started to go sideways, the gunshot probably spooked her and she dropped it. Oh, real clatter too. Second biggest of the day, maybe. Why do you have a camera in here anyway? Surely the museum's policies would forbid it. Oh, don't worry, Detective. I had it all cleared with the curator. They said it was fine as long as I didn't take any photos. There isn't even any film in here. Do you think the diamond is in there, maybe? That doesn't make any sense. Where the hell would you bring a camera that didn't have any film? Yikes. This definitely seems to be the epicenter of our case. Looks like the victim there, lying on their back, was just south of a destroyed display case that stands in the exact middle of the room. Several dotted blood spatters on the floor, along with a few pieces of what appears to be stone debris. Other artwork looks to be unaffected and a witness at the scene. No shortage of places to start, so let's get to it. So this must be the podcaster. Cute! Amethyst geode, sustainably sourced from Central Europe. Hiya, Detective. I just want to say, it's like so awesome to meet a real, almost somewhat famous Philadelphian investigator in person. Oh, and I absolutely cannot wait to tell you all about my show. Would you be willing to do an interview? I'm a true crime podcaster. It's called Tales of the Dark and Desperate, and this episode is about to go hella viral. Wait. Are you recording right now? No, I didn't bring my equipment. Ugh, what an absolute rookie mistake. Like, 5 listeners and episode level amateur. By the way, you should seriously subscribe. You have your phone on you, right? Just let me look myself up and hit the button quick. No big deal. I actually don't keep a mobile phone on me. Personal technology would be a distraction at the crime scene. Oof, that is actually so sad. Okay. Who are you? Oh, come on, Detective. I told you about my podcast. Are you saying you didn't go and read my bio? If you're not a big reader, watch my daily vlog. That'll give you the general vibe. Oh my god, this is terrifying. Well, it was gonna be daily, then it was weekly. Now I just kind of post whatever. Same. The last one was pretty old, so it'll be out of date. Apologies, but I'm not going to watch your vlog, so please, if you could provide a brief answer to the question, that would be appreciated. Rude. The least you could do is submit your questions to my word vlog. You can do it anonymously if you want. I'm sorry, but isn't a vlog just a video blog? So a word vlog is just a normal blog? Actually, never mind. I've learned plenty. Yeah, I don't... I have a true crime podcast called Tales of Dark and Desperate. Tales of the Dark and Desperate. So make sure to totally obliterate that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Wait, haven't I told you about this already, detective? You have. I was asking more about what you do in a professional sense. Are you trying to say that what I do isn't professional enough? Gotcha. Oof, too easy, detective. I work at a coffee shop, but that's like so boring. Punch in, punch out, you know how it is. But after this episode absolutely pops off, I'm gonna quit so fast. Or like, quiet quit. I still need health insurance or whatever. Right. Okay. Oh, there was more. Shoot. About true crime. You have quite a passionate interest. Why is that? Oh, I know a trick question when I hear one, detective. Of course I love crime. Crime solving. Oh my god, this makes me want to watch Criminal Minds though. I'll do that after this. Crime solving. Do you have a background in criminology? That sounds like a question I can only answer behind the paywall. Do you know you can unlock great perks like this on my page? That won't be necessary. By the long paw of the law, let's stay on topic. True crime is trendy, so that was a good start, but then, I don't know, it was genuinely fascinating. In all honesty, I'm pretty normal. My life has been, like, pretty easy. There's people out there that have definitely not had it easy. Trying to step into the shoes of a criminal is one thing, but thinking about everyone around them, that's different. It's just easy to think, this wouldn't happen to me, until it does. True crime lets you really reflect on unrealistic situations that are very real. I know, that was pretty insightful. If you want to know more, make sure to wickedly whack that follow. Okay. For sure. I was mostly just wandering around, but when I got to the courtyard, I saw the tourists had this dope retro camera. We were just kind of going back and forth on old school photography techniques. Stuff like that was huge on Finstagram a couple years ago. Then we get interrupted by that argument. He handed me the camera while trying to... He didn't say that. He handed me the camera while he tried to break it up from down here, but they weren't interested in listening. I see. I assume you gave the camera back to him at some point? Oh yeah, for sure. But not right away, because things really started getting out of control. In that case, yeah, what? He said that she, like, wanted to look it over, and that's why he handed it over. I didn't know he got involved. Oh my gosh, I remember it so vividly. Feline was recording. My audience really likes authentic audio. That gunshot would get me so many upvotes. Oh my god. Blammo. That's when things really popped off, you know? I couldn't really see much up there though, and when the guard ran through, he and the tourists were so frantically scattered, I like pretty much tuned them out. Besides, we all heard glass break in the next room over, and I needed to get a first-hand account of things. Fame isn't for the fawn-hearted, detective. I ran from the courtyard and saw the punk lying there. It seemed like he fell from the balcony. I rushed over to check on him, but he was so dead. And what of the diamond? It was already gone. I explained that to the guard when he came in, and then I guess he went off to go search for it someplace else. I figured with the alarm going off, I wouldn't be able to leave anyway, so I just sat tight and waited in here. Okay. About the guard. He said you both entered the exhibit simultaneously, but this contradicts your testimony. Yeah, you said you were here first? I don't know what you want me to say, detective. I, like, told you everything I know already. I came in, saw the diamond was gone, took a quick look over the body, and the guard came running in after. If I was gonna lie, wouldn't it make more sense for me to agree with the guard? I'm admitting to having no witnesses. I mean, yeah. So the diamond really was missing when you arrived? Yeah. Okay, fine. Alright. This is a pedestal where the stolen gemstone was once displayed. What should I investigate here? The plaque reads, Optimus Diamond, circa 1700. Where could you be hiding, precious little stone? Okay, now I'm cold. broken case. Seems like a classic smash and grab. There are stones strewn across the floor, so it's possible the thief used them to break the glass case. I'll put this statue chunk into evidence just in case I can learn anything from looking it over. It doesn't seem like there's any other incriminating details here, though. Never that easy anymore. Yeah, gross. I mean, sorry, he's dead, though. Victim presents male, likely mid-20s in age, 4 facial piercings, and wearing a leather jacket. Initial signs show 2 impact wounds to the back of the head, all things considered minimal blood loss. And nothing on his person, no wallet, keys, not even an ID. Poor guy. Murdered and robbed. Okay, so we need to go talk to the guard because he has 2 conflicting statements. Which I guess isn't too crazy, considering it was all, like, happening really fast, but I find it weird that you said you and the student went in together. You didn't? Alright. About the guide. You mentioned in your testimony that you discovered her in the antiquities exhibit, stunned from the sound of the gunshot. As much as you know about her condition, do you think it's possible she could have been unaware of your presence in that moment? Oh, I hadn't really considered that, but I bet you're right. I can't reiterate enough how much I really did try to help, but the curators always had a lighter touch, so calling for them was the best call I could make. I can't ask him anything else. You could talk to the curator, though? Alright, today's events. Before the suspects. I met them all and started to establish profiles on each. There's someone at the heart of this, and I'll find out who. Alright, cool, you completed that lead. Congratulations. Blah, blah, blah. It's getting late. Injustice doesn't sleep, I'm afraid. It takes time to shine the light on truth. Fine, do what you must. Take as much time as you need. But remember, the very fate of this museum hinges on your ability to resolve this sufficiently. I think you mean effectively, curator. Either way, we should move on to another topic. Camera. What camera? I was discussing tonight's events with the tourist, and the topic of his camera arose. Did you not notice he had it on him when he arrived? I absolutely did not. I'm sure you understand, detective, that recording of any kind within this museum is strictly against policy. Why would guests come visit if they can observe a rudimentary facsimile someplace else? I had a hunch that's what you would say, but it might reveal some important evidence, so I'm going to entertain that prospect for now. Fine, I suppose that is a minor concern at the moment. I agree. Let's discuss more important concerns then. The critic. He said you had requested an article to be written. Could you tell me more about that? Detective, I'm afraid I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that so? He said this wasn't the first time. In fact, he said the first one did quite well. I'm sure he did. Why don't you ask the old-timer about that? See if his memory is held up enough to recall that catastrophe. Okay. The guide. You described her as stunned until eventually your efforts to rouse her were more successful as she told you to call the authorities. But she described the situation differently, that you failed to call her and left her there unmoving in order to call the police. Is that what she said? I couldn't really remember. She said that, did she? If you recall, I also described her selfless and to a fault. I'll have you know, she's like a daughter to me. I regret to say that she lied to you, detective, to save my feathers. For a curator to not prioritize the safety of their guests or even their exhibits, I believe she intended to maintain my proper image. A noble act and certainly loyal, but it was still a lie. I'll have to reconvene on that, but for now, we have other matters to discuss. The alarm. It's state-of-the-art, awarded on a grant several years ago. It runs through every wall, door, and exhibit. A bit Orwellian, but I do what I must. It took a long time to amass such a wondrous collection, so I'd like to keep it. I don't see any cameras, though. How does it work? That's the beauty of it. It's entirely invisible. reading paw prints on the surface of display stands, glass cases, and frames. And it recognizes registered users, so if I were to rearrange the exhibits, I wouldn't have to worry about disabling the entire system. Of course, the rest of my staff is also registered. Conservators, appraisers, or technicians get temporarily registered as needed too. The guard mentioned a discretionary response system. Do you know anything about that? Vaguely. For instance, putting the doors on lockdown is an early stage response, whereas that atrocious sound is much later. I know that much. If someone stole an exhibit, a noisy alarm would alert everyone, warning the thief that their cover was blown. Of course, if the thief broke into an exhibit to steal it, well, they've already relinquished the advantage of discretion. In that case, the alarm siren acts more like a warning system to other guests. I'm starting to see this intelligence you mentioned. Yes, well, I hope it makes closing this case easier for you. Easier and quicker. Easier, perhaps. Quicker? I'm not so sure. Holy, okay. So earlier tonight, I think this part is about the argument. So earlier tonight, the old timer bought in the, was it fine arts? Exhibit with the punk who surprisingly had a gun. Okay. Oh, this is an alternate solution. Alright. Oh, I guess argued could have been. Okay, cool. So they fought in the fine art exhibit. Oh, they fought in the exhibit, and eventually the punk fell from the is it sculpture balcony? Oh, natural history balcony? Fine art balcony? Museum balcony? Was it antiquities? I don't know, I'll have to go back and check. We can come back to that though. Oh, let's do these. So we talked to the podcaster who said this was false. I could give him the benefit of the doubt, but by the podcaster's account, this just doesn't line up. I can't think of an obvious reason he would lie, but it would be best if I asked him directly. Okay, so I have to do that in order to, like, go talk to them about it. Who did I talk to that said this was false? The student? I don't remember. No, not the podcaster. Shoot. I wanted to say the guide, maybe. Dang it! Okay, well this one... The guide. Alright, this may not necessarily have been a lie, but it certainly speaks to the critic's sensibilities. At least his testimony seems to line up otherwise. Okay, the curator said no. Oh. What the heck? While the curator did leave to call the authorities, it wasn't before successfully rousing the guide from her stun. Suspects and witnesses included the eccentric... Oh. Critic... Oh! Maybe it's the bitter old-timer, the eccentric podcaster, and the distinguished critic? The anxious student. The jolly tourist. And the reserved. I don't know who's reserved. Artist, critic, artist? No way. Led by the curator, the museum staff. Also included the loyal guard and the knowledgeable guide. Amidst the chaos, someone stole the gemstone. Okay, I need to go looking again. Where am I? Natural history. I need to go up. Is it fine arts? The balcony? Or is it the courtyard balcony? No. Natural history. They fought in the exhibit and eventually the punk fell from the natural history balcony. Okay, so I must only have one thing wrong. Maybe it's they argued in the courtyard? There we go. They fought. Okay. Alright, I've got the basic details of this case all sorted out and met every suspect. Now it's time to really get to work. Okay. I don't... I don't think I remember. When a gunshot was heard, he stormed off. Okay. He didn't move straight through the courtyard. He bumped into the artist on the way. I don't really know what to do with this one. Do I just go through all of them? Regardless, I think we can talk to the guard some. About the artist. Do you recall having encountered him earlier, perhaps in the courtyard? The tourist was there and the podcaster... Oh, you know what? The artist was in the courtyard. Come to think of it, when I was barreling through to get to the brawl upstairs, I nearly tripped over my own two paws. Or so I thought, but now that you mention it, yeah, it must have been him that I was stumbling over. Okay. The podcaster, you saw her in the natural history exhibit. Did you suspect that she could have stolen it then? Initially I did, yeah, but she was quick to explain herself, and it all made sense to me. She told me she'd come from the courtyard just a moment prior. In response to the sound of breaking glass and a loud thud, that would have been the gemstone being stolen and the victim falling from above. Considering the timeline, there wasn't much she could have gotten up to. I hate to break it to you, but she did have a few moments before you arrived. Not enough to steal the jewel, of course, but she did steal the victim's belongings. Oh, shoot. Yeah, she probably did for her, podcast. While your motives are understandable, this could have been avoided with a bit more diligence. Aww. So you think if we talk to her, she'll... Oh, we can look at this, though. This is the pedestal where the stolen gemstone was once displayed. What should I investigate here? Broken case. I've been assuming that the thief used the statue to break open the case because witnesses believe that's what triggered the alarm. There's no denying they heard glass shatter and the alarm blaring, but that doesn't mean it was intentional. When the statue was shot and fell, but landed onto the display below, the gemstone would have been ripe for the taking unless it was already gone. The thief opened the case, which locked the museum dorms, and the alarm went off later. Or the thief was a registered user with the system and the doors wouldn't have been locked until the case was accidentally broken later. I do want to go through all these though, so I'm just gonna go through them until I find one that fits. Okay. Considering her condition at the time, there's no way she would have known the guard tried to help her. As far as I can tell, this was just an honest mistake, but worth keeping the record straight nonetheless. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, what is that? Hmm. Like here it's vibrating a lot. There we go. While it may have been broken further in the fall, it was certainly destroyed prior, assuming at least that this is the flattened tip of some ammunition. I wonder where the casing is hidden. Finding that could help me track down the murder weapon. Okay, let's go see if she knows anything about the possessions. Hey there, detective. I have some questions. Additional? Did she say only if you subscribe? The victim. You mentioned he'd already fallen from the balcony above. Did you do any closer examination than that? Why do you ask? Thing is, he didn't have anything on him. Not even a wallet, no ID. Doesn't that seem strange to you? Oh, detective, that's because I gathered them for you ahead of time, so you wouldn't miss anything. Tampering with a crime scene is illegal. I'm pretty sure it could be a felony. It wasn't tampering, it was assisting. I know about standard procedure, so I just went ahead and did it for you. That's all it was, huh? Lying to an authority of the law is also quite an offense. Are we an authority of the law, though? Okay, I took his stuff because it would have been amazing promo material. You can't blame me for trying to fabricate a viral sensation, detective. And besides, what if he had been stabbed and I needed to stop the bleeding? That logic doesn't even... You know what? I've got other things to discuss with you. Camera. You mean the tourist camera? Oh, that thing was so nice. I wish I could afford one, but they're so vogue right now. Yeah, that one. You mentioned looking over it. Did you notice if it had any film? Oh, it must have. Didn't I tell you what happened when I dropped it before? Neither of you mentioned dropping the camera, no. Yeah, he did mention dropping the camera, though. I had to, ask about it after, but... Well, you, remember the gunshot, right? Blammo and all that? That didn't bother me at all, I guess. But then, with the glass shattering, the alarm went off, and that's what got me. The noise made me jump, and boop! That was when the camera dropped right out of my little hands. When it hit the floor, there was a big flash, so it probably took some sort of photo. Of course, I got it back to him all in one piece, before he even noticed. Everything afterwards went pretty much the same as I told you before. Okay. The article. Do you know if the curator requested the critic to come in and write it today? No, absolutely not. I'm sure they wouldn't ever ask the critic to do that again. The curator alluded to a previous article. What happened with that? I'll keep the story short since it isn't mine to tell, but between you and I, it wasn't pretty. It was harsh, but perfectly fair. I've heard murmurs that put the museum in a rough spot, but that wasn't our concern. Despite tonight's commotion, the museum seems fine to me. Alright. You have... Oh my god. The clothes. Oops. Not that one. Okay, I'll give you this one for free, detective. The guide. Were you aware that the discussion you shared earlier was taken differently by her? Whatever could you mean, detective? It was simply a forum for two intellectuals. Perhaps one person's forum is another's arena, especially when such a debate is uninvited. Have you considered that? I can assure you that it was not my intention to debate her. Surely she's been through more treacherous challenges than I could provide. I'm not in a position to make claims one way or another, but I found the disparity in your testimonies important enough to clarify. Worth noting, if your honest response to criticism is defensive, then I suggest you reflect on why that is. How astute and utterly absurd a sentiment. Okay. So... The guard said it? Oh, so now I have to say that the curator? What? Oh, curator. Wait, what? Okay, maybe I misclicked. You might have been hoping to write an article about the museum, but that's just 2 testimonies. Oh, but that's 2 testimonies against his claim. Why lie about that at all? Write the article. Did you want to read it? I have an early draft if you'd like. That's interesting, considering the curator was entirely unaware of that request you mentioned. They must be playing coy with you. Or maybe they're just embarrassed that they need my help to keep their museum afloat. But I guess you wouldn't understand, standing on the outside, desperately trying to look in. No, they didn't. They didn't have to. I received an anonymous tip, and I decided to be generous. Oh, yikes. Okay, so I finished that one. Oh, so these are the, belongings? Okay. I just have to kind of like let it sit and wait. This receipt. Why would he have paid twice? As far as I'm aware, he didn't come in with anyone, right? Since I can't question him directly, I'll have to ask around some more. Probably ask the curator. Okay, let's check on the crash, and then we'll probably end it. Where did he? How do I go up? Oh, I am up. Oh, this isn't right. I have to go to the other side. Dang, poor guy. Oh, I can't check anything else on this. Okay, well then. In that case, I guess I'll go down and check on the tourist again. Shoot. All right. Your camera. You weren't using your camera at all tonight, correct? The curator would have had my head if I was. There ain't even any film in here. Then how come, according to the podcaster, the camera's flash went off when she dropped it? She should take a beginner's photography course. Just because the flash goes off doesn't mean I actually took a photo detective. But if you're so confident in your theory, then how about you check it out yourself? You can take my camera as evidence as long as I get it back. It's empty, you'll see, but full of sentimental value. Okay. Well, I'll be damned. Of course. I knew there was something else in here. Or rather, there isn't something in here. Sometimes that can be just as important. If I had to bet, this is probably another case of someone's sticky paws. But no battery? She returned the camera, but not without a case of sticky paws. Oh, the phone. But I thought you said there was no phone. So then, I don't... Oh. Oh, admission receipt. My bad. Okay, as far as I can tell, he did enter alone, but with one extra detail. He paid admission for 2. As they fought... The... Do you think the old timer maybe shot the punk? Or like... I would have said pushed. Causing the painting to be as they fought the... Hold on. Maybe the old timer tripped the punk into a statue? Or into an artifact? Causing the artifact to be... I don't know. When it fell, it destroyed the glass case below, and then tripped the alarm. Oh. Okay. What? It's cold and it feels like metal? It's the casing to match the tip from earlier. He said he felt a splash on his back. Someone could have dropped it in there. So do you think maybe the old timer shot the punk, dropped the gun and threw the casing. There we go. The cop can probably tell us. About the fight. You mentioned that you had a pretty clear view as much as you could from the lower level. Could you tell me more about how that went? Okay, I don't know why they were fighting. Whatever it must have been mighty serious. They came out onto the balcony swinging, and I didn't think he would have had in him, but the old-timer would not let up. I get where he was coming from, of course, because that punk had that gun and all, so he probably was thinking there wasn't any room to let up. He must have got a step ahead, struck him once, okay, so that's a new word, and got a good shove in, landed the punk with his back flat against the wall. Considering they both got hands on the gun and it went off shortly after, it wasn't a sight I would soon forget. Okay, so that is not correct. He shoved the punk against the wall, which makes sense. The old-timer didn't get shoved into the wall. He was the one doing the shoving. For having such pride, it's hard to believe he would willingly make himself seem weak. Into the wall. Causing the painting. I don't think I... Okay. Alright. Anyways. Oh, there's a map. Nice. I could have been using that. Alright, anyways, I'm gonna end that there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time where we hopefully can get further in. See you then. Bye.